This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth, and today I'm continuing my coverage of the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell, of course, is the former girlfriend of Jeffrey Epstein, and she is being accused of allegedly grooming young girls for Epstein and for for his purposes. And the reason why I'm paying such close attention to this particular case is because of the fact that these two pedophiles are in very high circles. On the inner circle, one can say, they're involved with some of the world's most powerful and influential people. So this truly is a groundbreaking case. I think it's a historical case. Whether or not what the outcome is, it doesn't matter at this stage in the game. I think this one's going to be remembered for a long time. And joining me on the line right now is Kristan Harris, The Rundown Live. TheRundownLive.com is the website, and he's here. He's at the courthouse covering this case. He's been there from the beginning. He's been allowed on the inside, being allowed to take down notes. So Kristan, first of all, thank you so much, man, for your coverage of this very, very important trial. I want to get down into it all the new things that have been coming out over the past week and a half or so. There's so much information to cover. But before we get into that, maybe we could start with the breaking news of the hour, really. Court has just been adjourned for the day, and as I understand it, it's because one of the attorneys got sick. I mean, what can you tell us about what's happening right there now today at the courthouse?
Well, we had one witness testify for FedEx discussing, if things were shipped or not, and going through analytics, basically verifying things. When the lawyer for the witness went and had a discussion with the judge, and they ended up adjourning because she can't testify without the lawyer there. So they are returning tomorrow. I know Thursday, today was supposed to be wrap-up day according to the prosecution, which is a little interesting that they didn't decide to call more witnesses. But I have been in the inside. I have been here every day. And something that's really interesting that people need to know is we're the only ones to get the transcripts from the stenographer. You can find those on the rundownlive.com. We have Jane Doe 1, known as Jane. We have Katie, Jane Doe 2, and Carolyn's testimony, as well as the Butler testimony, all available in the transcript form on PDF, straight from the courthouse on the rundownlive.com, so you no longer have to deal with those dirty handwriting notes that a lot of people are providing you. But those are helpful. Those were helpful. But now with the actual information of what was said in the courtroom, it's very imperative, because what we've learned is that Ghislaine Maxwell, Ghislaine or Glenn or Ghislaine, they call her like 6 different names throughout this trial. No one can seem to agree on what her name is, which is kind of amusing in some shape and form. But the crimes are very serious, and they're always a very similar story of a young girl between 14 and 17 who has a horrible home situation, that's a promising either artist or actor or musician, and Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. We got all the transcripts on the rundownlive.com. Essentially, they go over how they groomed young girls. They had a grooming interview where they discussed what their aspirations were. They would use that to pry Jeffrey Epstein in as a hero. Oh, don't worry, he'll pay for your college. They would buy these girls things, and it would just start out with normal hanging out. And there's a lot of subliminal stuff throughout Epstein's house, like nude photographs, nude paintings, paintings of orgies, deformed children, paintings of deformed children, really bizarre stuff. And when these children would see it, they would subconsciously start being suggestible. So then it starts out where Ghislaine would then take the children and say, hey, Jeffrey wants to see you in the massage room. And then she would show them how Jeffrey Epstein would like to be massaged. And then you get the desensitization. And then after a few times, it seems like in just about every case, these girls would then become sexually involved with Jeffrey Epstein, and they were all getting paid. Jane Doe 1 was receiving money to give to her mother. Katie received money for herself, and Carolyn was receiving $300 to partake in orgies with Virginia Roberts and Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. And Epstein even offered to fly the 14-year-old Carolyn to lavish vacations, and she said, my mom would never approve of that. So there's been 3 testimonies. They all kind of echo each other, and they all have similarities: broken homes, bad relationships with parents, suggestible women who are already either sexually active or involved or have been involved with relationships with older men. And they are all seem to be kind of pimped out either by their parents or by people that they're in a relationship with. So whether or not that's the case, the transcripts does go into detail what some of these massages were, and what happened with these massages, including sex toys being found by the butler after he also corroborated and supported what these women are saying, that he found sex toys and oils, and he'd have to clean them and put them back in Ghislaine Maxwell's drawer or little weave basket. He said, "How would you like that job? Have to clean up the sex toys after that." And he was in there. He cleaned up every day for Jeffrey Epstein, and he gave a testimony, and he was yapping so much that at one point the defense said, "Are you telling me that by picking these girls up for Jeffrey Epstein, you are trafficking children?" And that was the defense lawyer, and then trying to get him to shut up from what all the things, the testimony that he gave. That's all available on the rundownlive.com. So I don't know what we're going to see here, Dan. It's very dark. It's very demented. There's an evil spirit around here. I got video of Isabel and Kevin Maxwell begging the media to have better coverage of the prison system and how it is unfairly treating Ghislaine Maxwell, and that she's getting like eggs with mold on it and stuff. So there's a whole lot going on
at this point. I mean, she's got a lot to answer for, and I've been wondering, is the prosecution, from what you can tell, painting her as the mastermind of this whole thing, or are they kind of making it look more like her and Epstein were 50-50 partners in this crime?
Yeah, they've really been developing the relationship between Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. She would have money wired through her account. She bought helicopters. She was in charge of all his properties. And she'd be the one doing the grooming by showing the women how to massage Mr. Epstein. And, she would actually bring them to the room and then ask them, "Did you have fun? Did you have a good time?" And then she'd be all giddy with them afterwards. And they definitely had a grooming process. It was like they studied MK Ultra, and they were using psychological tactics to groom these children. And I was asking, if you're a billionaire, why couldn't you get a legal girl who's 18 or 19 but looks like she's 14? You would think that you would want to stay out of trouble, but then you start to think about the blackmail operation that might be potentially going on at Little St. James, which was rumored. It all you start to see puzzle pieces, and they've named a lot of interesting people. Kevin Spacey, that's not a surprising name there. Chris Tucker. They mentioned Bill Clinton. They haven't mentioned Bill Gates, which has surprised me. You think they would have mentioned Bill Gates a whole lot more during this trial, but they keep listing people. Les Wexner. We can keep going on and develop some kind of web of contacts. As you know, in his little black book, there's other names like Alec Baldwin, and obviously the former president, Donald Trump, was named multiple times throughout this trial, as was Bill Clinton.
I've heard, and perhaps you can confirm, did the pilot, to the best of your recollection, mention Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, as being listed on the flights?
I don't recall. Like, there's a lot that was going on this whole trial, a lot of information. I'd have to go look at the transcripts because there was a lot of names dropped. And a lot of them I was not familiar from, and there were times I did leave and go use the restroom and stuff. So it is possible I may have missed something, but I personally didn't hear it. We could probably pull the transcripts for the pilots. We haven't done that yet. Both pilots testified. The second one, who was in charge of the first one, Mr. Rogers, testified yesterday, and he didn't mention any of those names, but he did mention a lot of names and business associates dealing with retail with Jeffrey Epstein. And sometimes I wonder if that term, selling property and everything else, what was he really selling? Was he grooming these underage girls to be involved in orgies with adult men as well? And, I didn't hear much about Justin Trudeau, but I wouldn't be surprised. It would make sense that all these power people get put in position or elected or rigged in or funded or supported when they're part of the cool kid club, and they get initiated through some kind of debauchery or horrible, heinous act or crime. That's the rumor that's been going around Hollywood since its inception.
Now, I
So
got to tell you, from watching this on the outside, at times it does feel like this thing is being censored and potentially even completely rigged. I mean, we just recently had Tracker Trial, the Twitter account that was covering this extensively, suspended, and there's also talk of kind of deep state connections, you know, with some of the lawyers being like the daughter of James Comey and the judge herself being involved in some secret society that's connected to
yeah.
Yale Skull and Bones. What can you tell us about that stuff?
Well, absolutely. I wrote an article on the Rundown Live about the judge being part of what's called Quill and Dagger. It is basically the little brother of Skull and Bones. It's the same thing, except it was one of the first secret societies to accept female, initiates. So basically, it's the same ideology as the Bavarian Illuminati, just an offshoot, propelling the Adam Weishaupt utopian ideology. And that's basically what the judge was involved in, and that's Quill and Dagger, and it's an elite society, second to the Sphinx Head Society at Cornell University. And that is a bizarre link. The Comey link is interesting as well. I do feel that the prosecution hasn't gone, well, I guess the thing is they've been interviewing their own witnesses. We'll see how the prosecution acts when they encounter the defense's witnesses. And one thing I have to mention, they are actually trying to be very woke about this trial. By that I mean they aren't getting into the nitty-gritty details of what went on behind in the massage room, because they're being careful about triggering emotional outbursts in court. And they haven't really dived down into what kind of sexual acts. Only on the first one, Jane Doe, where she talked about fellatio and other things that were happening with underage girls, orgies, other naked women being around, seen in the house, all this other stuff. So,
Well, originally,
needs to,
I mean, it was thought that this thing was going to take like 6 weeks, I think they believed, and now they're saying it's actually going to end a lot sooner than that. Is that because all this information is being left out, or are they just trying to wrap this thing up quicker?
It's interesting you mentioned that. Listen, the prosecution is going to finish probably tomorrow. That doesn't mean the defense said that they believe that they'll be rather quick. So I'm guessing that the length is because of the breaks. So next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, there is no court. They return on Thursday, Friday, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before letting off for Christmas. And then they plan on being back after Christmas and between Christmas and New Year's. So I would believe a verdict somewhere between Christmas and New Year's, when everyone's busy and no one's paying attention. And if Ghislaine Maxwell takes a stand, it would probably be right before Christmas, just because people are the least likely to attend in person and cover this news.
Now, why did you personally decide to cover this? And as somebody who's there covering it from the inside, what does your gut instinct tell you about what's actually going on here with these two?
Yeah, well, a local citizen that's been supporting me for years decided to start a Kickstarter to send me out here. Obviously, I was a witness in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, and my footage was used throughout the trial almost every day. I was there for 3 weeks. And we said if we could raise, $2,500 to send me out here. And I didn't know how expensive New York was, first of all. I said $2,500 and that I would go out here and actually cover it for a couple of weeks. And we've obliterated that budget. We're at $3,800. But the problem is, I didn't realize New York, it's like $300 a night a hotel. And that's for like a dive hotel, $250. Food's expensive. You have to take the subway everywhere. You have to have like a collaboration of 2 weekly passes, because I can't stay in New York proper. It's just way too expensive. Got to be in Jersey City. So all of that adds up. And so we're trying to raise money. So if you want to support me, these transcripts are $1.25 per page. We have hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of pages released. You want to support me, you can go to therundownlive.com, buy me a coffee there by donating to the GoFundMe that's on the page. But that's how I came out here, was the listeners that made it happen. That's what independent journalism is supposed to be about, covering things that people actually care about. And I'll tell you, the mainstream media is less and less every day. I came out yesterday and there was about 5 news agencies here. Law and Crime was one of them. They had Spectrum News, and that was about it. There's a handful, then a bunch of newspaper photographers. And where's the media? We're like at the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, there's over 100 media outlets there every day just camping out across from the courthouse. None of that is which is happening in New York. It's almost like there is some kind of gag order. People are getting banned. Sites are getting banned. Maxwell trial tracker got pulled down. I understand that. But you guys can find the most genuine news at therundownlive.com. I also know they moved over to Sovereign Media. Plug out to Ben Swan, homie, for many years, has been on the Rundown Live, and I'm sure you've known Ben Swan too. He gave them a place to have a good platform. But you can follow Kristan T. Harris on Twitter, or find us by going to therundownlive.com. All the sites are available on all social media platforms at the moment. We even had a YouTube video banned, 2 of them, and got 2 check marks in a matter of 24 hours for having medical misinformation while covering the Ghislaine Maxwell trial live. There was no medical misinformation. We appealed it, and then they denied the appeal, and then we sent them a letter saying, is there legal counsel that we can get in contact with? And then all of a sudden they said they reversed their decision. So that being said, there is censorship going on. They are pulling people's channels. They are, like, I've known 2 people whose channels have been pulled since they started covering this, but I can't speak for their practices on why that might be. Maybe it's past information, maybe they're genuine strikes, but it's good to get off those platforms. Rockfin is a great one everyone's moving to. There's all these other ones. Build your own platform, whatever it might be.
All right. Well, in closing, what again does your gut tell you that is really the crux of the matter here? A lot of people are of the belief that this is like a Mossad-led blackmail ring, pedophile ring, where people would highly powerful and influential people would be secretly filmed engaging in sexual activities with minors. That way this can be used as blackmail in order to put these influential people throughout society so they can operate as puppets to your agenda. What's your gut telling you that's actually going on behind the scenes here?
Well, my biggest concern is everything is based off of testimony. There's no like they had evidence that was acquired, including totes full of hard drives and CDs and DVDs. And what was interesting is the FBI already tagged all the DVDs that were in Epstein's safe, which is something that came out in the court hearing. But the FBI agent had no idea how they got there and how those markings got there, because they didn't have a warrant to get the hard drives and get the CD binders that were in the safe.
When the FBI cracked into the safe and they got the CDs, there was evidence that those files had already been viewed by the FBI?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that they left them there. When they came back, they were gone. And then they had to go and retrieve it from somebody that worked in the house. And they went through them. There's already FBI markings in there, which was fascinating. And that was, I believe, on Monday's testimony. I could be incorrect, but I think that was Monday or Friday that they went through, the whole house, and they showed the videos, and they showed how they came in, and the law enforcement went room by room, what was in each room, and they showed the safe. They had an FBI agent that handled the evidence recon there, and she said that they didn't have a warrant for the stuff in the safe, so they left it there. But when she went back and got it there, everything was filed and marked like it was marked by the FBI already. So interesting stuff. I'd say my gut instinct is don't be surprised if she gets let off, because everything's testimony based. But if testimony was considered fact, I think that she's going to jail. There's no doubt in my mind. There's enough collaboration and information. But in a modern day where most people want to see video evidence, where most people want to see photographic evidence, everything has been testimony. So I could see how the jury might, because there's no absolute doubt to prove that she was doing all those things other than a testimony by these women, that she might get let off. But I think more so it's kind of the tides have kind of turned to where the defense is trying to grasp for good witnesses to disprove what all these females are saying. And then keep in mind, they've only brought 3 female witnesses, and Epstein allegedly, there's a lot of women involved that could have been called to testify in this trial that weren't. So I think that the prosecution may have gotten a little light. I think that they ended a little early, and I don't know what kind of evidence or what they were thinking that they're going to work with. But testimony say that she is guilty as snot, and like I said, there's a chance that people say, well, everything is hearsay, and we can't really validate that that's all fact. So we don't know 100% sure, even though we 80% believe it. We're going to have to, let her go per se,
Yeah.
So I'm kind of 50-50 right now, but we'll know more after the defense takes a stand next week.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, it remains to be seen what's going to happen. We're really only just halfway through this thing. So once again, I just want to thank you for taking that initiative to get down there to do this. I want to encourage everybody to get onto that Kickstarter and continue to contribute to the cause, even if the goal has been met, guys. He's going to, more unforeseen expenses pop up all the time. I've done this kind of stuff all the time, and there's always expenses that come out of the blue, which you didn't even expect. So continue to contribute to his efforts. Kristan, once again, I want to thank you for your coverage, and maybe we'll get you on once again to give us a rundown, as it were, when this whole thing is said and done.
Yeah, it's amazing how over the years we've gotten to work with each other and our roles have kind of reversed, huh? You'd be at Bilderberg calling into the Rundown Live, and
right.
Here I am at
I'm
the
interviewing
courthouse.
you. Yeah.
Yep. So appreciate you, Dan Dixon. Everyone out there, don't forget to support Dan. He's one of the only true voices in California out there spreading the truth, and we're under attack. The Durham probe has shown that our censorship was illegitimate and that we should all be reinstated. So support him as well, and check out the rundownlive.com for the transcript drops, as well as information about the Quill and Dagger Society and so on.
Fantastic, man. All right, guys, I want to encourage everybody to do just that. Check out all the links in the description below and stay tuned for more coverage. Once again, Kristan Harris, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you. Stay blessed.
We all want truth. The truth will set you free.